무대에서 토 한번 해야지. 무대에서 토 한번 해야지.
Just a little explanation before we get to the meat of the video. This is a paper I submitted for my poetry and song class, and I got a 100%, so I thought it's probably well suited for a video. This is something that, I mean, I've been talking about Sserafim a lot lately, but this in particular is something I really enjoy about particularly Yunjin's writing. You'll see I talk about Raise Your Glass a lot in this video because I think it's an amazing song. I've seen some people say she's not a good writer. She's a great writer, but you know, opinions are opinions, and that's fine. Just wanted to explain why I am speaking so formally. I am just reading my paper. I normally, well, I used to script my videos, then I started doing workshop type, or at least in my mind, workshop type videos. Might go back to scripted, I'm still not sure. I have an essay on Nmixx in the works, but who knows if that will see the light of day. Anyway, enjoy the video, hopefully. Given the notion that talk of angels has been around essentially as long as time itself, the disparity between iterations of them should be less surprising. There are cherubs with big eyes and bigger hearts, and there are ones with steely gazes and walls built impossibly high around them. The Sserafim, a Korean girl group, takes on the identity of Seraphim, but their stories are not full of light and grace, but the sheer dedication to persist through the concepts their music throws at them. Their first single, Fearless, begins this tale with a startling indifference, but there's always more at the root of stories like this, as member Yunjin reveals in her first solo single, Raise Your Glass. The songs together represent humanity at its greatest heights and emerging from its lowest lows. It represents how society has the same duality as the media's angels. Fearless is a surprisingly understated song despite the topics it details. The chorus repeats what you looking at, what you looking at several times before denoting how unabashed they truly are. It even continues with you should get away, get away. The repetition of these simple commands sung at a minimal variety of pitches suggests the strength they mean to claim for themselves. It is similar to when figures in literature lack literal eyesight. These characters tend to possess a greater sense of figurative sight, able to perceive truth or morality more than their able-bodied peers. The Seraphim believe that they are strong enough that they are intimidating without superfluous effort. They state, I'm fearless, but the notion is quite literally part of a simple sentence, without more clauses to latch onto just that and weigh the idea down. At the same time, when they describe their state of affairs, they assure the world they are proud. Bring me forever win A, number one on my chest A, world groveling under my feet A. They list accomplishments but utilize low language, so the listener understands they are proud, but they still think little of their own pride, perhaps the most supercilious thing a person can do. And they are clear that they do not take on these personas unknowingly, acting like I'm humble, that's done. These women are ferocious, and it is not something to forget, it is impossible to forget. And yet it is still a primarily outward persona in reality. Hu's story is ultimately very different. In some ways, it is still understated. She is blunt, opening the song by asking, it's kind of shitty, isn't it? And in other ways, it reveals the speaker's more intimate side. She assures herself that she is great on her own and does not want to waste us on this. She values her relationship with the subject described as her sisters. She does not look down on them in any way, unlike the Seraphim, and she does not put herself on a pedestal either, alluding to their collective song stating, I'm fearless, but I still fear. It becomes clear that, despite the way she promotes with the Seraphim, that is, in fact, more so indicative of an outward persona than her true identity. The idea of being fearless is not actually a simple sentiment like the sentence implies. She latches on that the idea is figurative. It's a metaphor, and as such it holds more weight and is inexplicably human. She is fearless in the same way that blue eyes are oceans and brown ones are chocolate. They are not exactly those things, as such the Seraphim's members, including He, are fearless in the same way that they are angels. They are not quite those ferocious beings who could never appear fragile or even mortal, but they are similar enough in theory to make the comparison. Regardless, He wants to reminisce about her collective adoration for her friends and struggles also as a collective. She comments, raise a glass to the past and the story of us. She highlights a tradition that is very significant throughout human cultures, bringing listeners down from Le Sserafim's fantasy to a humble but ameliorated reality. She's even a bit cheeky with her overt friendly aura as she disregards if they drink, simply loving people the way they are and with every piece of her. They lift a glass, and as a result, they uplift each other, their lives separately and together, aging not unlike fine wine. She is still struggling on some level, however, acknowledging it's different when the target is your mind. But she's able to push through. After all, she states, my sisters and I, we sympathize. Understanding each other is enough in the moment for her to feel better, and it's a connection that is far more grounded than anything they say as members of Le Sserafim, as the characters they portray on stage. She even goes on to say, in this ugly world where the color is fading, you're beautiful in every color and shade. The subject has a more worldly nature than the world itself, well suited to everything simple in life. They speak of a society that is not primarily focused on being tough or living up to an impossible standard. Humanity as a whole has a ubiquitous appeal because of its variety and what He sees as an innocuous nature. In the end, He is more than her group or their music. She isolates a sense of individualism not often seen in Korea's rather collectivistic music industry. And through this, she suggests that the people who study angels or other characters are more than whoever they choose to give their attention. The act of creating or engaging with media does not reduce the self's complexity or value, it's just the opposite. These acts are a means of self-exploration, and that exploration allows nuance to expand like a balloon to parade around life with. Through studying the omniscient and the omnipotent, we understand our own limitations, however many or however few, however angelic or however mundane.